So if you go to desmos.com or teacher.desmos.com, I think, then log into Desmos using your sign-in details, and you'll be faced, if you click on custom, faced with this screen here. You're going to start a new activity, so we're clicking at the top right and going to give our activity a name. Okay, so you've given your activity a name, and we're going to first of all label our first screen. So on the first screen, usually whatever you put on there shows up when the students are invited to do the task. So it's usually a good idea to not have a question on the screen, but maybe have instructions, or even better, an image of some kind. I'm just putting a note there at the moment. Okay, so we're going to open a new page, and first of all give it a label. It's a really good idea when you give a title to your page that you put something there that's going to help you remember what the question was about, because when you actually go to look at it with the students when they're doing the activity, this is what shows up. So if you haven't put something memorable, if you've just say put question 1 and you can't remember what question 1 is, then it's difficult to navigate through. I'm just showing you here how to enter a graph. There's more to the graph functions than this. You can edit. If you look at the spanner setting on the right hand side of the page, you can put functions in, and there are an awful lot of functions that that Desmos is aware of. Okay, so a new page again, a new title, something short just because. And this time we're looking at being able to sketch something. So when you get the students to sketch something, they could be annotating a diagram, they could be just drawing something from scratch. It's quite a basic function. It's a bit like Paint was, with only one basic pen with different colours. This one here, it's going to say about making your courgettes look like they're asleep. So that's what the question is going to say. And as you can see, there is actually an option up there to give it a go as if you were a student. So I'm going to draw an arm on my courgette. I don't like the colour. I'm going to change the colour so it's more visible. Yep, that's an arm, honestly. The hand. And then I'm drawing an eye, but it looks like it's open at the moment, so I'm going to erase that and draw a sleeping courgette who's very rested. Okay, so as you can see, it is quite basic, and etc, etc. So my next option now on this page, and that is to add an image, so or a video in fact, which is really, really useful because you can get students to watch the video within Desmos and you can see their responses, say they have to pause after so many seconds or what's happening. There's a great video or Desmos activity I've seen about watching a video and they have to draw a graph that represents what happens in the video. So anything like that would be useful. Now we're looking at adding a note. So the students, you can choose whether they get the choice of putting in mathematical notation or not. It's interesting for maths students, certainly with the maths notation, they can be quite thorough when it comes to actually typing it in with their notation, which is nice to see. Now we're on a sort of multiple choice options, so you can add your answers to the question. So it's a good idea to put a question separately and then add the different options. And this one here, option with explain, so the student has to explain why they've answered that question the way they do. If you've ever experienced, I'm trying to remember the name of it now. Oh, can't remember it. There's a website which you give multiple choice options, but you have to explain your answer. The middle one, so let's say that's one of the options. You can also import graphs, etc. Middle one is just a simpler version of that, where they don't have to explain what they've done. And the third option is where you can tick multiple boxes, not just the one box. So that's quite good for feedback, if you're asking for student feedback via DESMOS, which I have done. And then our final option is either a sorting activity, which is what I'm showing you now. So you can import images, which is usually going to be the option, and students can match them up. So I've got my fruit activity, and we've got, well, fruit and vegetables. We've got a pepper, which apparently is a fruit, and we've got strawberries, which aren't. And we're going to have one more, which I think is going to be my favourite, courgette. And then if the question was to match the red fruit and veg, then on the answer key I can show that is the answer and the students are matching it accordingly. Okay, and then that's pretty much it. So a nice idea to have some kind of summary page, some kind of plenary activity, I suppose, for want of a better word, where maybe get them to draw a face to show how they feel about it. That's quite simple. It's nice to have that throughout the activity, to be honest. They like a little break from doing the work, and it helps you to see, it's a sort of confrontational way of seeing how they're feeling about what they're doing. You can have multiple choice about what they understand, what they need to do next, perhaps. And now we're done. So we're just going to explain a little bit about the activity. So blah blah. And we're done. And now we're in a position where all our pages are visible underneath at the bottom there, and we can have a look at them, do a student preview, and go through them, work through them like a student would, to see whether you've made spelling mistakes, to see whether you think it's makes sense. Really good idea to get a colleague to check it as well, just to work through it and give ideas. And obviously it's nice to share. So then if you want to view the dashboard, so you want to set students up to actually do the activity, you need to create a class code first. And there's the class code on the left, but if you actually click on View Dashboard, then that gives the instructions to the students as to what to do. And this is what you see. So if you click on a question that they should have answered somehow, you will see all the student responses. See the responses, and as you can see, you don't see an awful lot there. Sometimes it's quite difficult to tell what the question says, so it helps if you've made them or actually written down what each question is about. Then you can anonymise the students. So on the left there, which I've gone on to already, you can choose to just limit the number of questions they do to start off with, so they can't progress until everyone's done them. And you can also pause the activity, so if they are in a position where they want to discuss, or you would like them to learn to do DESMOS activities or set them up, is to actually do it. So if you go to the website and give it a go, that's the best thing you can do.